means spring, we often associate it with doom and gloom, and it's not entirely wrong, but it isn't entirely right either. So I thought when I pulled together just a little bit of tech support for today's presentation, I'd give you a nice life-filled image. Since if we're going to do Lent right, I think life at the end of it all ought to be there. So we'll come back to ERD stuff in just a moment. I just want to set the stage a little bit about what we're doing here at Trinity during Lent. Mostly today we're going to talk about ERD, and we're also going to talk about some more. In the newsletter, this that went out Thursday, have any of you received it in the mail yet? Barbara and I checked our mail yesterday and still hadn't received it. You'll get presumably this week then. Dang. Hoped to get it out in time that you'd have it before the first Sunday in February, but we also needed to wait to make sure we got information about the annual meeting in it, so it was a bit of a delicate dance. But in the newsletter, when you do get it, you'll see, and there are copies available if you wanted to get a sneak peek, about Lenten opportunities, and we'll come back and talk about that as time allows later. And there's a rule for Lent as well. But first, reminding you, we have pancakes on Tuesday, and the men will be in there cooking them up, and at the end of it all, I'll be burning palm branches and palm crosses. Have we talked to Kim about her fire pot? No. Darn, she's gone by now. I need to ask her about that.
I'll call her.
Will you call her about that to make sure we have
I
that
didn't
to
know
burn
it
our
was
palm
hers,
branches?
but yeah.
She gave that. She gave it. She loaned it to us last year to use for that. It worked pretty well. So palm crosses get burned. So if you didn't bring it back today, bring it back tomorrow and leave it at the office, or bring it on when you come on Tuesday for pancakes. There's no hurry as long as you bring it in by Tuesday.
We need them.
And Ash Wednesday service is 12 noon. It'll be here. There will be some music, and we'll be with folks from the Nativity Lutheran. They like doing a service downtown last year for Ash Wednesday, so they're going to join us. And then at 7 o'clock, it's us with our Trinity Choir.
So both services are here.
Both services here. Okay. And now, to you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll stand by to be
All right,
technical
good.
support.
Oh, good. Okay, I need all the technical support I can get.
That word discipline, do we ever use that word anymore?
Apparently we do.
This year.
Apparently I keep using it.
I
Bring it
don't know
up.
how well we use that word anymore.
Okay, this starts our campaign for ERD today, and it will run through Lent, and it will end the Sunday after Easter. We have two themes this year. The first one is clean water and sanitation, and the second one is women's empowerment, and those are very related because the United Nations says this year in sub-Saharan Africa alone, women will spend 40 billion hours going to get water. And that means they can't go to school. Girls can't go to school if they're doing that, and they're at risk for being harassed when they go to get the water, and they can't spend that time doing any kind of economic development for their communities. So I want to show you today a couple of little short videos on what's happening. But first let's talk about the Lenten. We've got the little Lenten booklets. How many people know about these? Everybody knows about these, don't they? Yeah. So after this presentation, Dick's passing them out if you'd like one.
Apparently he's passing them on if you don't want one.
And it's interesting because ERD doesn't just go in there and just do things. They work with organizations that are already set up. And so they go in and they work with the people. And one of the things that one of the places they work with, one of the civic organizations that they work with is called El Porvenir. And we'll be looking at a little video that shows what El Porvenir does. But ERD always works with organizations that are in the local areas and churches in the local areas. So The first thing we're going to look at is empowering women with microfinance. And this is Vilma, and she had some dreams that she wanted to go to school, and she was not able to do that. So let's see what happens next.
Oh, thank you.
This is in Guatemala.
Cuando yo tenía mis 15, 16 años, le decía a mi mamá, mamá, yo quiero estudiar, quería hacer algo bien importante. Entonces yo le decía a mamá, yo quiero estudiar. Pero ella me decía, mija, pero ¿dónde voy a traer dinero yo para mandarte a estudiar?
Siempre, el primer paso para un empoderamiento de una mujer es lo económico. Como facilitadora, en el taller de microcréditos enseño cómo mejorar su economía, cómo formar ya su negocio, cómo ayudarlas a pensar, a tener esa idea de expandir su negocio y de fomentarlo, de construirlo. Desde la sospecha que qué rico venir a comprarlo ahí a la terminal de El objetivo principal, primero es que nuestras personas, primero formar el hábito de ahorro. Segundo es crearles herramientas a las personas para que ellas se desarrollen a nivel personal. Él nos visita desde Nororiente, es la primera. Como nuestras culturas no hay ahorro. Entonces venir a nuestras comunidades y hablar de ahorro, hablar de finanzas, era bastante difícil. Nosotros únicamente vamos a dar herramientas para su desarrollo. Las empoderamos, les ayudamos a creer en ellas mismas, a que ellas pueden ahorrar, a que ellas pueden transformar. Primero me transformo yo y luego transformo mi ambiente.
Nos damos cuenta que es a través de la suma de pequeños esfuerzos que se pueden lograr grandes empresas. Es una realidad evidente que es necesario empoderar más y más a las mujeres. Y eso lo estamos viendo a todo nivel.
Yo al ahorrar siento que me estoy superando más, siento yo, porque voy a poder dar educación a mis hijas, lo que yo nunca tuve. Mi hija me dice, mamá, yo quiero ser doctora. La otra me dice, mamá, yo quiero ser chef. Entonces digo, yo no les puedo decir no, si ellos tienen su sueño y si yo voy a poder darles, voy a luchar para poder darles.
We made a fantastic poster which shows you that our goals this year are women's empowerment, which we just saw with Vilma, and clean water. We take for granted that you turn on the faucet and you've got good water. We just assume that. Well, there are a lot of people in the world that don't. And as Marie said, if women are spending 4 to 6 hours a day getting water, that doesn't give them time for anything else. And so, if there are wells drilled in these small villages where people can go and get clean water, it makes a big difference. They can become educated, they can get jobs, they can work with their kids relative to school. The kids can go to school. The kids also help their moms get the water. Health and wellness, economic opportunities, but that clean water is so important. And we just assume that that's the way it is. Tanzania Water Project does it. I hate to say this, but they do it for half the price because they own their own rig.
Makes a difference.
It makes a big difference. So when Dick and I were in Tanzania, I can't tell you how many places we went that said, we've got the money for a well. Or we've got a well and we don't have it all set up. But a couple places we went, they had the wells and they wanted to bless the well. At this parish, I think it was St. Gregory's, they waited for us until 4 in the afternoon. The whole congregation was, the church was full. This little girl in the red dress thought she was in a wedding. She carried a scissors on a little tray, and we went out to the well, all decorated, because that parish had raised enough money to create this well for the whole village. It's not just for the people in the church, it's for the whole village.
How much does something like that cost, a well?
The Tanzania Water Project does it for about $6,400. It usually costs about $10,000. But what they do is they sign a contract saying that they have to maintain that well. And if they come back a year later and the well's not maintained, they'll pull the wellhead and give it to somebody else, which is a bit of a motivation.
So the people themselves have to maintain the well?
Yes, they do.
And they're trained how to do it?
Oh, yes. They've signed on the dotted line, they're trained how to do it, and all they have to provide is either the labor or some of the money for the materials. The materials for the well is like just $1,000. So it's not that much. But to them, that's a lot. But one of the things that we found most interesting is we went to this one, which was a brand new well in a Muslim village, no Christian church there. It's there for everybody. It was put in by the Tanzania Water Project. This young lady fills her bucket, puts it on her head, and what we discovered is the people who came to the blessing ceremony were all women and children. The men didn't bother. The men expect the women to do all the work, which they do. And you've never seen a happier bunch of people. The fact that they had real clean water was amazing. The other thing that the women there do, women's empowerment, is the Mothers Union was building a hostel for unwed mothers. If you become an unwed mother, especially if the father was Muslim, you're shunned from your family. You have nothing. So what they do is they've arranged this now. It's taken over 5 years to build it because they only build with cash. There's no bank loans. So what these ladies do then is they're going to put up these about 8 young unwed mothers with their kids, train them to have skills so they can go out and get a job and support that child, because they will not be supported by their family. Empowering women makes the difference. This is in the city. These people will have water because the city has water.
Do the wells stand up pretty well once they put them in?
Yes.
Okay.
And the goal right now is to get another rig that'll go deeper, because right now they can only go 75 kilometers from the city center.
Like 250 feet now.
Yeah, they can only go 250. And if they can go deeper, then they'll go further out and more people will have water. We've seen little kids carrying, I don't know, they look like 10, 20, at least 10-gallon containers on the back of their bike.
Little big containers.
Big containers. And we're talking a container about this big.
Yes, they are.
Heavy. Very heavy. You know, carry 2 of those on the back of your bike, ride 5 miles, get the water, ride 5 miles back, and then mom can cook in the center of the village.
Yeah, and then eventually it destroys the bike because
Oh,
of
yeah.
the weight. So it's a vicious cycle downward.
So, you know, the little stuff that we take for granted, water is the key. Now, Marie's got another video that has to do with more women's empowerment and water.
And this one's Nicaragua, so it's very interesting.
And this one's not too far from here.
So El Porvenir is a civic organization, and ERD works with El Porvenir.
What happened to the sound?
Dear.
Things like access to clean drinking water. Contaminated water is the second greatest cause of infant mortality worldwide. It causes diarrhea, cholera, skin disease, and internal parasites in people of all ages.
Lo más que ocupamos es una hora para venir a traer el agua para tomar. Una hora de venida y una hora de ida. Y se hace fila porque como toda la comarca viene a traer agua aquí, a veces se llena.
In Nicaragua, women and girls bear the burden of carrying water needed for household use. The buckets they carry on their heads can weigh 40 pounds.
La gente, a veces la gente desde las 4 de la mañana andamos trayendo agua, a veces hasta las 2 de la mañana.
Carrying water hours a day means women have less time for other activities that benefit their families. Girls may not go to school. Precious family money is spent on preventable disease.
Aquí decían, se murió el niño de fiebre, de lombrices y tal vez le quiere cólera. Nadie había quien dijera qué enfermedad es porque tomamos el agua contaminada. Acuérdese que habían animales en el agua, cerdos, gallinas, y nadie se daba cuenta, nadie.
El Porvenir began here in this village of Puertas Viejas in the late 1980s when I was living here as a volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. It became obvious to all of us that the lack of clean drinking water was important and critical.
El Porvenir is a nonprofit organization that works with communities in empowering them to achieve clean, accessible water in the form of sealed, safe wells.
Our main focus is water. We do water projects, both hand-dug wells and gravity flow water systems.
Communities request assistance and El Porvenir responds by lending tools, supervision, and providing raw materials. The communities provide all the labor and learn to maintain the equipment themselves.
Pues ahora nos sentimos muy contentas porque tenemos agua en nuestras casas. Antes viajábamos largo para irlos a bañar y ahora gracias a Dios y a los facilitadores de este proyecto tenemos agua para bañar.
The need for latrines is as great as the need for water all over Nicaragua. Millions of people don't have the most basic sanitation facility.
Está muy bonita. Hay de uno a lo para... Pero que estoy sentada allí, estoy viendo, estoy leyendo las normas de la letrina.
El Porvenir is committed to empowering communities. Its Train the Trainer education program teaches local people about hygiene and environmental education so that they in turn can teach other community members.
Bienvenidos aquí a mi humilde vivienda y a la comunidad del Caracol. El agua. Uno se lava las manos ahí, con el agua y el jabón, el balde con agua ahí.
Están cumpliendo con las normas higiénicas de cada una de sus letrinas. El premio consiste en material de aseo para continuar aseando la letrina. Eso indica que cada letrina donde hay esa carita feliz significa que esas familias están al 100% en las actividades higiénicas con sus letrinas.
It also goes beyond that into environmental education and maintenance of the projects, physical maintenance, how to repair the wells. We've been now working in Nicaragua for 20 years. Over the years, we've seen the water tables are dropping, and in large part that's due to the high levels of deforestation in Nicaragua. Firewood is the #1 fuel source for people in the rural areas. It is certainly contributing to deforestation. People have to travel farther and farther to find just available firewood to be able to cook for themselves. And the smoke from the cooking fire is pervasive in the kitchen and certainly contributes to respiratory disease and illnesses.
El Porvenir has been helping families construct cleaner, more fuel-efficient cook stoves with chimneys to reduce deforestation and lung disease.
Many people in the rural areas, they don't realize the connection between having trees planted in the watershed and the water coming out of their wells. That affects the water levels and water tables. And so once we communicate that to them, then they become the most staunch environmentalists you can find anywhere.
El Porvenir encourages all of the communities to participate in its reforestation program.
Communities are invited if they want to build their own nursery and then plant those seedlings throughout their micro watershed to protect their water project.
Naranja, el palito que está aquí. Limón, aguacate, papaya. Como miramos ya están un poco grandes por el cultivo que se le da la preparación de la tierra, el cuidado, el manejo, cómo se tiene que mantener esa plantita viva, no dejarla morir.
The conservation areas are managed with great care by the communities. El Porvenir is also now taking its education program into schools.
Esta es mi escuela, aquí estudiamos mis amigos y yo, aquí el piso que está allá fue construido por el Porvenir, donde mis alumnos, donde mis compañeros bebemos agua, simplemente por gracias al Porvenir.
Cada año se entregan aproximadamente 300 libros para colorear entre los niños de la escuela, para que ellos también a través del dibujo aprendan el amor a la naturaleza, a cuidar la naturaleza, a cuidar el agua, a tener hábitos de higiene, a seguirse superando por sí solos.
A ver, ustedes saben qué pasa, porque nosotros usamos la letrina que tenemos que hacer. Lavarnos. ¿Y la letrina cómo se mantiene?
Mostly it's the kids that are affected in their health. They're more susceptible to diarrhea and other diseases that are water related. People are so grateful, especially when they think about their kids. Kids are very important to the people here.
There are many ways to help El Porvenir change the lives of thousands of Nicaraguans as it continues to expand its work in clean water, latrines, reforestation, and environmental education. Here's how you can help. Join a work group and help create change in a Nicaraguan community. Spread the word, host an event to talk about El Porvenir. A donation of any level to El Porvenir is a gift to the people of rural Nicaragua of a future with health, opportunity for education, and freedom from poverty. It is a gift of life. Visit www.elporvenir.org for details on how to get involved. Thank you.
A este pueblo que ama tanto vivir en Nicaragua.
Nosotros ya teníamos una esperanza que decíamos bien el agua, ahora sí.
Agradezco al Porvenir por mi letrina.
Y todo el mundo abajo. Desde ahora tiene agua de sobra.
Diego, qué alegre, pero al gritar esa parte, miren, yo deseaba como gritar y saltar de alegría. Es cierto.
Little filters that they put in each home, they cost all of $50. They have like a special bowl inside that takes out the impurities. You pour the water through there, it comes out, it's clean. And they put those in the villages that had the highest disease rate. It's going down.
It's really working.
Yeah.
Do they
And
have
it's
to
very
replace
simple to
that?
maintain.
Do they have to replace that screening every once in a while, or?
Not that I'm aware of.
50, how much?
$50 for one house. That's it.
That's your last thought.
And the fire department here is doing it?
Yep. And they've trained the fire department down there to go around and teach the people how to clean it and how to use it.
Boy.
So these two videos that I just showed you, those are on the ERD site, and there's a lot of them like that. But what I really like about ERD is they partner with these organizations that are already ongoing and help them with their missions. So we have the little Hope Chest this year, and the Gibsons brought in some little vintage ones. So you have your choice, you can pick one or the other.
Or both.
But if you put in dollars, you only need a little one.
Yeah.
Put coins in a little while.
So if you want to just put a check in there, that's fine. But if you do give us your coins, put in a little slip with your name and address so we can send you a tax credit letter.
How much did you get last year, did you tell us?
I got, for the ERD, I got 1,800, and then I got some at Alternative Christmas, so, and there was an Episcopal Relief and Development match. So we gave Episcopal Relief and Development $3,433 last year. So I hope we can do 5,000 this year. And then we have this little coupon sheet, and this one's new this year, and it was developed by a diocese in Montana and Utah. So take one of these because they're very enlightening, but they're also quite amusing. And this tells you each day what you need to do and how much to put in your box. So this goes with the box. And Dick will have some boxes for you, and I'll also have some over there.
I would say it would take a lot of discipline to do that.
Well, actually, like this one for Ash Wednesday, remember your dust. In 2015, 107,000 acres of Montana forest were reduced to ash by wildfire. In appreciation of your safe home, give a dime for each heat vent or furnace grate. And if you have a fireplace, add another quarter.
So you have to go around and count all these.
You have to go around and count them. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing.
So if you don't have the discipline, just at the end of Lent, just make an estimate and double it and write a check. Right?
So we don't have to count the pennies, right?
Double is nice, but I should say add a zero.
Add a zero.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Thanks for the
A little
technical.
bit about some of those other Lenten opportunities. Again, this is actually from the newsletter. Your copies are all black and white, but if you go online, you can look at, and it's there already, you can look at it in color. It's so much prettier. So you have in the center pages, you have a one-page description of a lot of the events. It's not obviously comprehensive, but a description, including the ERD stuff that we've just been talking about. And then on the other page, a rule for Lent. And in terms of disciplines, Peggy, if you check every box, you will fail.
You're going to be busy.
No, you will fail. You will not be able to do everything. Pick and choose what makes sense for you. And the idea there is really be a bit more intentional and careful and not overdo it so that you fail. Subscribe to what you're going to do so you can succeed.
This
So
is
that's
for our
it.
personal use. We don't have to turn these in.
No, you don't turn them into anybody. And you have something very similar to this actually as an insert in your bulletin this morning. So that's that. Lent Madness is one of those, and that's just a lot of fun. On the bulletin board over there, you'll see the large poster bracket. There are a couple of other ways you can get your hands on a bracket to participate in all of this. Let me see. I got to look at what I got coming up here on my slides here. Oh. That's just to say, excuse me, that was last year. Last year, that for the first time, they had the silver halo winner. Always it's been who gets the golden halo at the end, and that was last year St. Francis of Assisi. But last year, they offered a silver halo to Bridget of Kildare. Who will win the golden halo this year, they asked. And that's how this all plays out. So day by day, you get to cast votes online for different people, and you can get a bracket. There's printed sheets with just a bracket on it, and you can go online. You can get emails every day. The first set of emails will tell you about the people being pitted one against the other. It's so inappropriate to pit saints one against the other. There you go. So each day on the email, they will give you, initially it's just a description, the first round, just a description of it, and then they get less reverent. And they do other things over the course of the succeeding rounds as they go through it all. So anyhow, you can go to lentmadness.org and find out how to do all that. If you want, there are a limited number of these booklets available, and in the back of it, there's already a bracket printed, and so you can pick that up. So the first round begins on Thursday, February 11th, Helena versus Monica. And you can learn about them via email or here, and then you can decide which one you want to pick. Go online, pick your saint. At the end of the day, the votes are tallied, and we find out who goes on to the next round, and then we do it all again the next day. So that's how Lent Madness plays out. It's silly, possibly irreverent, as I say, but actually
It's informative
It's
for those
really-
of us who don't have a Catholic background and know nothing of saints.
these are, for the most part, our saints, you understand. These are from our calendar, not necessarily a Roman Catholic calendar, but the same thing pertains. Most of us don't give it much thought, and their lives are edifying to us.
These are our saints?
Yeah. They have a couple that are thrown in that aren't, but by and large, almost all of them are. I think out of the 32, I think probably 30 of them are legit. Not sure about this Drogo. We'll find out. And then starting next Sunday, we have a 5-part series at the Forum happening here. As it says, don't put off dying till you're dead. So a lot of stuff we can talk about and do now that will be helpful for those who have to pick up the...
Can you have some printouts on that, Father Jed, that we could have when you do that talk?
We will have things to give out as appropriate for each of the different pieces, yes. Next week in particular, we have a lot to hand out. The Conversation Project is a big deal. And so we're going to talk about it, and there's things we're going to give you to take home, to work on it yourself, and help you talk about things that you want to let family, healthcare professionals know about. The 21st was a little bit of a challenge for us this year. We had a notion of how the series needed to unfold, but because the 21st is the weekend of the women's retreat, we felt like we couldn't make it integral, but we wanted to make it still relevant. So if you're going to the women's retreat, you won't miss anything that you wish you hadn't missed by being there. By the same token, if you're not going to the women's retreat and you come here, we hope to give you something that is both relevant and worth your attention. So it's a bit of a challenge, but I think we've figured out at least thematically how to do it. What we pull off, that's another story. Anyhow, for the next 5 weeks. And then there's Thursdays at Trinity. Eucharist in Trinity at 5:30. You can come for that and go home. It's a simple, but I think a lovely, quiet service for the season. You can not come for that and come at 6:15 and be part of the potluck supper. Or you can skip both of those and come just for the book group. Or you can come for the first part and go out and get pizza if you'd rather have pizza and come back at 7. Or, however you want to mix it up, it's your call. You can do any or all of the night. The parts are intended to be independent. For the supper part, I already have 4 people who have signed up for the first position. I'd like to have somebody else help. This is just to set up tables, to make sure everything's ready to go, so that when people bring in their soup, they have a place to put it. On March 17th, it happens to be St. Patrick's Day, and if you wanted to put out little shamrocks on each of the tables because you just thought it would be fun, you can do that. But it isn't a requirement. It isn't necessary. But it'd be nice to have a couple of people sharing that burden, just to take point for that night. Ken Wellman, for I think at least 4 of the 5 Thursdays, by the way, will be here to clean up. So I don't know which 4 Thursdays that is, but if you happen to get one of those, you don't even have to worry about washing up afterwards, because Ken will have done it while we're talking about the book.
Couldn't Mark set up the tables for us so it wouldn't be so hard, and then
Probably.
in here?
Probably, but how if you're taking point, how do you want to set it up for your night? Because you might have some special things. So, yeah, coordinate on it, that's all.
Do you have that master list?
I do have it.
Because I need to switch somebody when it's convenient.
Okay. Somewhere I have that.
Okay.
And then the book we're reading this year, Thursdays at Trinity, is Grounded. This is a quote I came across. I think it's on the back jacket. I have forever been grateful for Diana Butler Bass's razor-sharp mind, but upon finishing Grounded, I found myself in love with her mystical heart and gorgeous storytelling. We need to believe that God is here with us in dirt and water and our suffering and homes and neighborhoods. God is definitely in this book. So that's the book we're reading this year. For the first Thursday, a week from Thursday, so you have plenty of time, you can pick up your book today, read pages 1 through 64 for that first week. I have sign-up sheets, and it probably doesn't matter a lot, but it'd be helpful, and there's one there, there's one in the church, I have one here. Sign-up sheets for those who want to pick up a copy. I have plenty. I'm not worried about running out this year. I have plenty of copies of the book. This is better than you can get ordering it on Amazon. It's a little bit cheaper, I think by $2 if you want to get it on your Kindle. But really, only $2 cheaper on Kindle than it is to get a hardbound book that you can own and write up and all that other stuff. The books are here. They're available. Take one today, even if you don't want to be a part of the book group, but you want to read the book. Yep.
So what's the price?
15. 15. I think it's $19.48 on Amazon, and it's $12.99, I think, on the Kindle. So it's a good price.